That was the last question on the deck. Are there any questions in the chat?
While we have this little break here, I'd like to put out a special thank you to US Bank for sponsoring this webinar today.
Absolutely. Lisa, were there questions that came through the chat?
Not yet. We're still waiting for those. If you guys want to type in your questions into the chat or in the Q&A down at the bottom of your screen, we can certainly go ahead and answer those on the air.
Great. And I think, there we go. So
Are there?
Differential and multiples pre and post is the question, Tom.
I've seen multiples go down a little bit. We usually would use a 3-time multiple, 2.75 to 3-time multiple, and I see that down 2.5 or even less for non-well located or poorly performing.
Yeah, so they're not even considering that, right?
Pardon?
They're not even considering that. If it's a poor location, they're not even looking at earnings, right?
No. No. Let's see.
The question is, if I sell some of my stock to long-term employees, are the same rules regarding PPP and EIDL loans still the same?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think there is a percentage, and you can check your EIDL loan for that. I believe it's if you sell more than 20 to 25%, you've got to get permission. So that is, you're basically converting your business over. You want to sell some to your your change in ownership has to meet the provisions that are in your loan documents. And those should be spelled out in the SBA loan doc. But information on EIDL is very difficult to get. They're very old, as I mentioned before. They're very old loans, and they didn't rewrite the rules to be more modern and more easy to understand. So there's a lot. This goes back to having to be in touch with the SBA. But the EIDL loan is much more restrictive than PPP is. When it comes to this, it'll be an issue if you sell more than a certain percentage, and I believe it's 20% in the EIDL loan document. Great question.
That's it. Tom, if anybody's interested in looking at businesses to acquire or looking at selling their business, how would they go about reaching you?
They can reach out to us, typical methods: text, phone, email. Should I Google search?
We'll add the link. We'll add the link in the description
Okay.
after in the replay.
Lex, could they contact the Hospitality Association and ask for Tom's information if they lose it?
Sure. No, absolutely.
Great. That's a pretty quick way. Is just use the Restaurant Association or the Hospitality Association, and ask for Tom's information. I can tell you, I've worked with Tom for years, and he is a pro. And if there's a deal to be had, he can get it done. So thanks, Tom, for your time. I really appreciate you spending the morning with us today and popping on here.